Welcome to Woke Mental Wellness Presents Windy City Nihilism. This is a debrief episode. While some cast members are mental health professionals, nothing in this episode or series should be construed or taken as medical advice. We speak to our lived experiences. If you have concerns, please contact someone in your care community and/or seek out an appropriate professional. No podcast can or should be used as a substitute for a relationship with a doctor, therapist, or other trained professional. Please also be aware that Talkback episodes cover a wide range of topics which may be hard for some listeners. Topics include, but are not limited to, suicide, death, depression, anti-Blackness, racism, sexism, transphobia, police, state-sanctioned murder, complicated relationships, sex and sexuality, hopelessness, financial anxiety, and strong language. Please take care of yourself as you listen, and remember, hope and resistance do best in community. Welcome, everybody, for our second Talkback episode. There's only been 2 in between this and the last episode, but so much has happened that we figured we should have a chat. So, as always, the cast of Windy City Nihilism is here with me, and we're gonna talk about how things are going so far. So, Blue, Sin, Imris, if you wanna say hi and just check in. How's everybody feeling after episodes 5 and 6?
Terrible for Romero, personally. Romero is going through it.
I'm stressed.
You know, I feel like the wild part of this is, and I think that was part of the intention here, that the real life horrors that Romero navigates are hitting harder than the actual literal demons appearing. Because it's just like...
I'm in the bathroom stressed, and not for the usual reason.
But yeah, there's a lot of, we were talking about this in a previous episode during one of the breaks, but definitely trying to have fun playing around the balance between the things that Romero draws like hope and joy and strength from versus the trauma that he's dealing with, so much so that it has attracted this archdemon. And a lot of those things are happening at the exact same time from the same places. Ain't that about a bitch, you know? But having a lot of fun. Our new tentacle demon friend is also
I love Felix.
a fun time.
Yeah. Welcome, Felix, to the cast of people that you all have met. I hear mixed feelings about the now named Felix, our tentacly little octopus kind of demon friend.
Felix is great, honestly.
Child, it's the way that Janissa is out here reading people, and I'm just like, you know what? You better work. Well, like while I'm getting out the shower, just call me having a coffee, and meanwhile, Rune's just like, so are we about to run hands with your manager? And Janissa's like, and I'll tell you about another thing while we're over here. And I'm just like,
I think that moment was both really funny and also really, I felt my fight or flight activate, because it's like, how many times have you been in that situation where someone who's late to the game suddenly wants you to have a sense of urgency about things that are happening, that they had no interest in all of the things that predated what is now happening? Like, where were y'all when Romero was going through the trials and the tribulations and the trauma and the struggle that has led to him becoming a target for an archdemon? But now you want to show up, now that it affects you, and be like, oh, we need to panic, we need to be more urgent, you acting like you don't even care, and just be dismissive of everything that came before. Like, how many times, I don't know.
It's really speaking to today's climate right now. Like, white folks panicking and shit. And we're like, come on, honey. Black and brown folks have been dealing with this for the fucking longest. I need you to get a clue.
Oh, and the way that you are just like, well, that's different because, that was cute. We kind of feed on that low-key. You're just like, excuse you?
Right?
It's
like it was like a cute little snack. It was like a Sunday brunch before, but now it's inconvenient. Oh, okay.
That was
Ain't that
you know what, Romero? Actually pack it up for this mission. They can have it.
They can have it. And it just reminds me of like all of the folks who like trauma and struggle was a cute little thing that you could build your resume on and get some grant funds behind. But now that the struggles impact your life, now that it's not a quiet little jaunt that you can take from your safe little enclave in the suburbs to go into the city and help the less fortunate, now that the struggle is on your doorstep and the impending doom is what you're facing down, now it's not so cute anymore. Now it's not a cute little t-shirt slogan or a hat, right, that you can put on and take pictures at the protest and virtue signal over. Now everybody is supposed to panic and freak out because you're suddenly panicking and freak out. And it's like, baby, we tired. We passed the panic and freak out stage years ago. Like, where were you?
It's like you should have cared before it directly affected you.
And it's also, so like, one of the things about this series for me is like, panic and freak out looks different for everybody. And I'm a crisis queer. And so I'm that person who is scary good in a crisis. And so like, when shit hits the fan, I am cool, calm, and ready to act. And so Felix, for me, is everything y'all are saying, and is also that person who's like, how dare you have a life? Like, you have to do stuff now. And it's like, baby, that's not how revolution succeeds.
They're the person in your Twitter notifications being like, how can you be on vacation at a time like this? Don't you know what's happening? How could you be out at brunch at a time like this? Don't you know what's going on? This is not
and you're
the
just
time.
like, baby, it's 10:30 on a school night. What you mean?
How dare you watch the Royal Rumble? Don't you understand that you're part of the problem? Like, go fuck yourself. Like, it's one of those things of, I get it. It's bad times, and this is evergreen, right? It's bad times, bad things happen. And also, like, what you don't see is people succeeding by running themselves into the absolute ground. And so I think one of the things that I feel is kind of fun and cathartic about running this series is like, we talked about it with Ola last time, and now we're talking about a different thing with Felix, and it's going to keep coming up, is like, these things are very real, and how we handle them matters. And Felix is very much an archetype of people who exist, who pop up into meetings, who are, you know, online or at that first, like at baby's first community meeting, and they're like, why would you play a game at a time like this? And it's like, dude, I get that this is your first meeting, and also we play a game because we're about to talk about, you know, some really heavy shit.
It's called regulating your nervous system so you can think clearly. You should try it.
Like, keep in mind, it's also like us walking through the park, and I think very much the example that Lamia is pointing out here, right, is you just got here. Like, we were casually walking through the park with all right, you know, something, we need to go and we need to collect ourselves. And this person has walked into the room being like, immediately, what do you mean you're not doing some stuff? What do you mean sleep? And I'm like, I need to sleep. I need to eat. I need to think. I have to go and look things up, research, Google, and all of these things. And then being like, feeling like they're offering anything of substance specifically because they're getting other people to panic too. No, like, relax.
And that's so I was like, me and Felix, we gonna, and I'm like, part of me is like, are you freaking out because that's what this demon does? Or are you freaking out because that's just your personality? Like, which freak out are we dealing with here with Felix? So that's also interesting, because it's like, but no one else is freaking out. Like, at least no one in our little group is freaking out. You're freaking out, but none of us are freaking out. So like, maybe that's just a you thing. but it's just really very interesting to interact with someone who's with like Felix, who's like, oh no, all of the pain and suffering that you went through before this point doesn't count. Only this counts now. Like, you don't understand. You don't get what's happening. And it's like, no, you don't get what's happening. And you also don't want to understand when people try to explain to you what's happening, which is why, like, we don't need to continue to have this conversation. I'm going to finish making this breakfast and then I'm going to go to the school, right? And do the job that I have to do every single day because my job doesn't end because you said the world is ending.
The part where you're just like, no, the world has ended for us like 3 times a day at least before breakfast. What are you talking about?
Literally.
And having like a group of people that are on the same page about it so that you can like lean into those feelings a bit. Just want to say I definitely appreciate that, because just being able, like, something as simple, because I know this is going to hit for somebody when Romero's just like, I'm just tired. I'm gonna get up and do this whole thing tomorrow. I really am. But right now, for like these handful of seconds, I'm tired. I'm not even trying to argue with the demon about it, because that is like true to the way that I feel at this moment. I am tired, and I am going to get up and remember that I promised somebody that I'm not going to quit and just do this shit again at 8 a.m.
Can I also just say, like, the last scene in episode 6 where you, instead of taking the demon's hand, you just sat down away from it and were like, meh, nah, was like so, one, just wild, like, and 2, it's like, it speaks to the way that things are double-edged swords, right? Of like that instinct to be like, yeah, this is some bullshit. And so I'm just gonna sit with this for a second, and how important that is. But like, yeah, no, it is not often that I have players who don't go after the rage bait that I fling at them, especially when it started speaking in the voice of your boss.
So the way that you give me the things to play off of, and the way that what I'm drawing from are like real life reactions to these things, and not just character interactions, right? Or character reactions. Yeah. So some of it is just like, the rage bait is out there. Okay. Like, this person is clearly trying to goad me into something. And I'm like, I'm a person who reads people and their intentions, right? So I'm just like, okay, so you're clearly trying to upset me. This is a thing you are trying to get me to do. Okay, let me sit with this for a second. And just the kind of a part of the resistance thing, like a common like tactic for the enemy. And we're seeing that like currently, right? Is to draw you into being like hyper reactive about everything. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just be like, okay, let me take a second.
It's that thing too of, so your traumas are catatonic shock, phobia, and blackest betrayal. And I do think it's also important to, when we talk about trauma, folks will like, I hate this trigger, I hate this reaction, I hate that I do this, or I hate that I do this. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, those things did something. They served a purpose at some point, or they tried to, right? And I think this is one of those situations of like, hey, Romero's ability to, like, it's gonna get you in trouble at some point, right? Your like shutdown thing. But at this point, the like, take a step back, shut it down. Like, I absolutely was like, I can't say that yet. I can't say it yet. But there were things that could have happened. There were things that could have happened had you been more reactionary or more willing to interact physically more with the mirror demon that is there.
So I want to say on that, I think that's one of those like perfect examples of exactly what the traits that I picked are going to do. What they do is they get you in trouble because there are some times where the reaction is appropriate and should be immediate, but Romero doesn't do it for reasons. But there are also times where that lack of immediate reaction keeps him out of trouble. It gives him distance and perspective. And this is one of those moments where it's helpful, but it's not always helpful. And this is why you have to have some people who are just like, hey, let's take a minute and assess. And some other people who are just like, nah, the hands need to be run immediately. Run them immediately.
Yeah.
But things like, hey, Ruin, that's a demon, but that's also a mirror. Are you sure you want to throw a fireball at it? And like...
Ruin's like, yeah.
Ruin's like, immediately, yeah, and then like goes to flick the reflection, and the reflection flicks back, and it's like, wait.
No, hold
and
on.
it's just like, that's why you don't do that. Actually, I feel like Ruin and Romero, for like that dynamic and kind of like what those things are like, are kind of a wonderful duo for that, of being like, we know that that's a demon, run the fade, and being like, hold on, do we know what type of demon this is? What kind of powers it has? Give me a second.
Right.
Versus also being like, kind of like being the opposite of Felix, but being similar, like, hey, you kind of need to take action on that, but I also understand you need time. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a day or two, but at least you know the danger on the table.
And I think for Ruin too, they're like, okay, yeah, we could use force to resolve this, right? Or is it like on some Silent Hill shit where you need to actually address these things and deal with them in order for it to like break or like remove itself from this world? And they aren't sure, so that's why they're kind of hesitant. They're like, I can fight, that's great. Dealing with the issues though, that's all you. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm here to support.
And I think it's such a great example of like why it pays to have people in your party that have a really solid parasympathetic nervous system, right? The people who like, who are able to have that initial moment of like freak out and then be like, wait a second, like, let's calm down, let's pause, let's understand what's happening here before we react, right? And that it's not just all nervous system activation. We gotta run, we gotta fight, immediately, right? We gotta lock up. Mm-hmm. That there is that, it's really going back to that conversation we had in the last Talkback around like, that there's balance, there needs to be room for everybody, and that everything can't just be one note, right? It can't just be one note all the time. Everybody can't just be on 100. And sometimes everybody can't just be wait and see. Sometimes you need the people who just are gonna, come through. And, in a clutch, you need the shooters, right? You need the hitters at times. But it's important to have that balance if you're going to have anything like sustainable, basically, to go on. And those people who are like, we need to panic now, we need to fight, we need to do something. And it's like, but what are we doing it? Like, what problem are we solving right now, right? Like in the conversation with Felix, he's like, we need to do something. You need to do something to fix this. And it's like, okay, but we need information so that we can do something that is ultimately going to be productive. You can't just come in the room screaming, we need to do something about this, and you haven't even diagnosed the problem, right? And it's just that, again, that frustrating thing of like having people who show up, right, a day late and $1 short to the movement and want to
$2.70 short exactly.
And want to just insist that everyone needs to do something TM, but when you ask them what the something is that's supposed to be done, they have no response. There's no detail, there's nothing.
With that energy, like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have that energy, but what I do think is that energy can be put to better use. You're wanting to do something, you're wanting to like have an effect. There are so many places that need fucking volunteers, that need like a helping hand, and they're right around you. And most people don't even realize that. Plugging this a little bit, like, call fucking 211, enter your zip code, and see what's around you, what shelters are around you, because I know they need the hands. What LGBTQ plus centers are around you, because I know they need the hands. Like, I think that's great energy to have, but I think just yelling it at people is not going to help. I think you need to do something with that, and that begins with fucking getting involved.
It's also that piece of folks are so indoctrinated into the like savior complex, like the saviorism of everything. And so it's like, I have to help. And it's like, but if it's not flashy and if it's not fast enough, people are like, well, I feel like I'm not doing anything. And it's like, well, babes, that sounds like a rock in a hard place, because that's just not how it's gonna work. So we have to do some very serious expectation management, because you're gonna need to stuff envelopes. You're gonna need to bake cookies and be okay with the fact that hey, baking cookies is helpful because the kids need the cookies, or this is the bake sale and this is how we're gonna fund the bail fund or what have you. And it's always hard for folks who, I won't say always, one of the things I run into the most with folks is they have all of this energy for oh God, we got to do something. And what they really mean is, I want to feel like I'm doing something. And that trap is a problem. It is a massive problem, because a lot of times when you quote unquote feel like you're doing the most is not what's needed. You're not doing what people are asking for. And when you listen to what people are asking for and you're like, well, I don't think that's the way. It's like, hey, fam, they don't need you to build them a house. They need you to fix the plumbing. They need you to tighten the screw under the sink.
They need you to shovel their snow. They need you to take out their garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can we be so serious? Just for just for the sake of saying it, it's very, I want to feel like I'm doing something, can sometimes feel a lot more like I would like to be seen. I would like to be seen, and I would also like to be announced in a room when I walk in here. Look at how important this person is, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. And it's kind of that's not the part that we're here for. If you have that level of impact, it's going to be known very quickly, even if you do nothing but make cookies.
It's also something that, comes up a lot. I talk, because as a therapist, I do work with a lot of people who are organizers, part of being one of the, few therapists that are willing to be very deeply political in the context of therapy. I end up working with a lot of organizers who want to process kind of the stress that they're under, being in sustained pushback against these systems daily. And something that often comes up is that desire to feel like you're making a difference. And so I think it's important to differentiate that, kind of saviorism, that this drive, right? I want people to know how many people I've helped and I want to feel important, with, the very real, is what I'm doing making a difference? And that aspect that can be so close to despair if someone feels like all the work that they're putting in is not really enough to really meet the challenge that they're faced with. And I always try to encourage people to remember that we won't know the impact of what we've done sometimes until long after it's over. One example that I use is just those Black Panthers who served breakfast to those school children every day. Did the person who woke up and made the eggs or made the grits or fried the sausage every morning know that they would be in our history books, right? Decades later, and that making breakfast for children every morning was going to be something that is considered a monumental piece of activism work that has shifted the landscape of this entire nation? Probably not. They just knew that there was hungry babies in their neighborhood who needed breakfast. And that's all they knew on those days when they got up and they got to work. And so reminding people that as long as you are doing something and you're making a material impact in someone's life, in your community, you are doing something that matters. Shoveling someone's driveway, picking up groceries for your neighbor because they can't drive to the grocery store, printing out flyers, right? Showing up to those community meetings, voting no on those zoning, whatever is for the luxury apartments, right? ride sharing with your coworkers to work, right? Watching the kids so that someone in your neighborhood can go to night classes or whatever the case may be. That matters, right? And so being able to remind yourself that it doesn't have to be big to be impactful is so important to keeping you from falling into that pit of despair that can sometimes drain people and ultimately burn them out.
Yeah, and I think so I live on a block that has a lot of currently like vacant or like unsold properties. And so much of the sidewalk does not get shoveled. And so whenever my body will handle it, I'll shovel my whole block. Like, or at the very least carve a path, because I also live next to a senior center or near one, right? And so those things people like don't think about. And what they mean is like, I want to be the big person. I want to be Luigi. And it's like, really? Are you sure? Because we need people around. There's a time and place for things, but by and large, what we need the most of is feeding people, clothing people, getting people space. And I think one thing right now that I've also heard a lot of is, well, why isn't anyone doing anything? I'm not seeing anything about any protests. And it's like, hey, remember the whole thing where it's like, hey, this stuff is not your 501c3s. They're not going to be who's doing this work. And thus, like, you're also not going to see it on socials till it's happening. You have to get in community, because organizers, we know we're being surveilled. And so why are we gonna keep putting stuff on Instagram? Mm-hmm. Why are we, especially if it's stuff that folks are not going to be doing the like permit process and all this stuff. If it really is about like, we're doing this thing, this action, and we're not looking for the approval, right? We're not just doing a demonstration, we are doing something else, a sit-in or whatever. There's no permit for a sit-in. You plan it and you do it, and that means you have to be in community.
And you don't plan it on Instagram.
You don't plan it on Instagram, you don't plan it on Facebook, you don't plan it on Blue Sky. You do it in person and you do it smart, because there is constant infiltration of tips and there's constant surveillance. And so I think too, that's something that, especially as the days go on in this campaign, like you'll see. You'll see.
Very ominous.
Yeah.
Very ominous.
Ominous? Why? Like, I'm sure, right, that there's nothing meant by that whatsoever, and I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Everything will be fine.
Everything is
like
awesome.
A cozy campaign, right?
Mm-hmm. A cozy campaign. Like, I'm sure things will be okay. Like, I can't imagine, right, what anybody in this group would have to worry about.
For our listeners who absolutely can't see, Sin has turned on the flaming background on the Zoom call. So yeah, that is what we are laughing at.
This is fine. This is totally fine. Can we talk about the creepy ass coffee shop AI automated system?
Yes. This will be our last talking point, but we do need to talk. We need to talk about celestial money.
Unsettling.
Because all I'm thinking is about, so I've seen that exact setup in McDonald's. I've seen it in Rite Aid. And then I saw it. It's coming, like that self-checkouts are in Aldi now. And the self-checkouts are coming to Dollar Tree. No, sorry, not the self-checkouts. They're locking up the cabinets in Dollar Tree. Like, in my local Dollar Tree, they have started putting in those little glass, you have to find an associate to unlock it, cabinets. First of all,
Dollar Tree don't employ people though. There's one person in a Dollar Tree ever.
Exactly. First of all, it's literally like 1 or 2 people on shift in Dollar Tree at any given time, and they're usually overwhelmed. So who is going to be unlocking them cabinets? And then also, secondly, them things cost $1.25. Was it ever that serious? You probably pay more to purchase those plexiglass things than you lose in theft every year. I'm almost positive.
Because it worked so well for Walgreens and CVS.
I was about to say. Also, are we running these high quality items that people are trying to steal in bulk? Dollar Tree?
Like they could get that on Temu for like a third of the price. I promise you it was never that deep.
These people aren't trying to run up and steal your stale Twizzlers. Leave these people alone.
And even if they are, they cost $1.25, and all that shit is insured anyway. So I just don't get it. Maybe if you put a little bit more time and effort into enriching the community that you put your business in, you'd have a lot less theft from people who are struggling to survive. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. I mean, people who are stealing sanitary napkins and milk from your store, probably not kingpin,
Yeah.
Right.
running rings of theft, right? They're probably just regular people who are trying to get by.
And again, it's $1. It's $1.25, and you're going to again, who's you're gonna have your associate be a personal shopper. What happens when there's more than one person in your store? Because I've seen y'all's staffing habits. I know, and especially with the report coming out, that's oh man, it turns out locking up all your products backfires. Our sales are super down, and it's a problem. Mm-hmm. And now we're laying people off, and it's so you could have just anybody could have told you that. We have the research, and other businesses are already showing you that doesn't work, but we want to keep doing shit that does not effing work. And it's wild to me.
I just want to run into Dollar Tree to grab some toothpaste, and now what should have been a 5-second stop at the store is now a 20-minute stop at the store, because I have to wait for the one associate who is the cashier, the restock person, and the bag check person to have a free moment to unlock the toothpaste cabinet. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put that shit back, and I'm gonna shop somewhere else.
Yep,
that's exactly what's gonna happen. But it's so ridiculous, because they're saying all these things about, oh, well, the prices are going up because of supply chain and we have to pay our employees, but you're replacing all of your employees with machines. And you think we cannot see that what you're saying does not jive with reality, because you have fewer employees.
Those machines don't constantly miss shit as you're trying to scan it. I'd be trying to use the self-checkout at the grocery store. Tell me why every other item this thing does not scan. And then they're wondering, I want to be able to slide it over and it beeps. Why are you making me wait 5 seconds after each item? It's ridiculous. And it also is so inefficient. And then you end up having to have the person, because it's not scanning it the way it's supposed to, you have to have an employee come over and check all your shit anyways, because it's security check. And it's
Real talk.
You know what would have been easier? A cashier. Having an actual person. If you want a person to do this, just have a person do this.
Real talk, if I slide it across the little thingy, I don't care whether it beeps or not. It's going in the bag, and anything else is between you and God. Because I don't have time for that. It's the dehumanization.
Yep.
Of just the whole thing, the less and less contact people have with each other. So when we talk about this demon of colonization and everyone's looking down and no one's making conversation and the kids are not playing, it really is such a pervasive part of colonization and gentrification, especially neighborhoods. There's that article, I think it was The Atlantic, The Silence of Gentrification. And it talks about how neighborhoods become like dead zones basically at a certain point because all of the life, all the community, all the culture is destroyed by gentrification and people moving in and calling the police every time someone has a block party. That after a certain point, there's no more people, there's no more energy, there's no more life in a neighborhood that has been gentrified. No one talks to each other, no one knows their neighbors. Like, everyone's terrified of each other because no one speaks to each other or knows anybody or has any, and that translates to no empathy, no care for your neighbor, nothing. And it becomes more vicious. People become more angry, suspicious of each other. And it really is true. Like, it really is, there is this demonic sort of vibe that comes with watching a community die slowly because it's infected by gentrification.
Not to mention that the same people who do all of that police calling and are part of the HOA and the neighborhood watch who are out here doing all of this are also the first people to say, this neighborhood used to be so much more lively when I first moved here, and I don't know what happened or what changed over the years, but it's just not the same. But it's just not the same.
I wonder why.
Couldn't imagine. So with that, there's obviously so much that we can talk about, and we are going to keep talking about this as we do more, as we play more of this game that is rapidly ballooning way out of my control time-wise. So we'll see how that goes. So we will end it there. I'm gonna go ahead and any quick last message and outro. Let's go for it. Who wants to exit first?
I guess me. Hi, it's been me. I've been Sinziek, also Romero, and having a fun time. I think you can find me on most of the socials, mostly Twitch and Blue Sky, by the same name. Go find me in those places.
Emrys.
Hi everyone, this is Emrys. You can find me online on Tumblr, on Twitch maybe if I ever get around to streaming. And my little message for you is that if you don't know your neighbors, bake some cookies, knock on some doors. You should know the people who live in your community because the only way we're gonna get through this is together.
Agreed. Blue?
Hi, it's Blue, and I'm really happy to have shared this space with y'all. Every week I get my life, so thanks y'all. Thank y'all for that. And yeah, get involved, y'all. It was already incredibly important. It's even more so important now, I feel like, in this current climate.
Yeah. And I'm Cassie, your storyteller. I'm so thankful that I'm so glad y'all agreed to this because it's heavy topics, but God, is it so fun to play with y'all and to feel like mutual understanding and belonging. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope folks love listening to it as much as we love playing. So
yes.
Yeah. But please, everybody, don't forget to take care of yourselves and your community. Build community, be willing to do the small stuff because it stacks up. And when it's not done, you'll definitely notice. Mm-hmm. So take care, do not comply, make them make you. And we'll see you next time for some more Windy City Nihilism. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Woke Mental Wellness Presents Windy City Nihilism, a 12 Inner Demons homebrew podcast. This podcast has been made possible in part thanks to a grant from Diversity Saves. Episodes are edited by Marissa Ewing of Hemlock Creek Productions. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review and tell your friends. If you want to help financially, you can visit the Woke Mental Wellness Ko-Fi listed in the show notes. Take care and remember, hope and resistance do best in community.